Ooh, Quaggan is here to answer your questions. No, he's not. No, Quaggan's going to sit this one out right the heck here next to me. And you guys are going to have to wait for the full reveal. Hopefully within the next day or two, I'll have a little mailbox up that's going to tell you all about this handsome little fellow. And I'm not sure if I spoiled it now because I couldn't really see the webcam while I was holding him up there. But he's wearing a yellow hoodie. It's absolutely amazing. So good. And with that, I welcome you to the weekly Q&A. My name's Lumin, and right now, well, I've got a bunch of questions here that we're going to get through. I will also, before we start, mention that next week's Q&A is going to be kind of special because... No, I'm not even going to tell you why it's going to be special, but we're going to the farm again, and I may or may not be recording it there. What? I just ruined it. Oh, whatever. We're going to jump straight into the questions now, because why the heck not? The first one's from Claire Bear. Hi Lumin, this is a question for Helene, but feel free to answer it yourself if it takes your fancy. As a fellow Sims fan, are you looking forward to the recently announced Sims 4? And what are you looking forward to seeing most in the new game? So, Helene is not going to be here in front of the PC answering it, but I can tell you right now, without hesitation, that she's just hoping they don't mess it up. Because SimCity, well, I don't need to tell you what happened with the new SimCity. Also, Helene would like it if they didn't release the standalone Sims game and then every month release either more stuff packs or expansions or add-ons, all that other junk. Why can't they just release one game and give everyone everything in it? Then if they release extra stuff, release it as free content. Give people that incentive to buy the game. I mean, come on. Look at Guild Wars. For goodness sake. They do it. They release free content every 2 weeks. Why can't someone like EA do it? Or Maxis or whoever does that. Is it even Maxis? I don't even know. Why can't they do that? That would be so great. I just want to see everything in the game right from the start. And if it's not in the game right from the start, I don't want to have to buy another expansion a little bit down the line. Because what happens is, you get The Sims 3. It's great. It's fun. It's a new game. They release all these expansions and stuff. You buy them all. And then a couple of months later, maybe a couple of years later, they release The Sims 4. And all of that just went, you know, or goes to waste. What's the point? The way they run this whole Sims thing isn't great. So I'm hoping, and I think she's hoping the same thing, that they just do this one properly. That's not the best answer ever, but that's an honest answer. I don't know. I mean, a good answer would have been what we'd like to see in the actual game, but I don't know. I mean, I personally don't really care. I like the way the character creation's set up right now. I think that's kind of cool. There's a whole lot more flexibility with that. But I always find it strange that in The Sims you can never really make an overweight character. Even if you make your character overweight, it still looks underweight overweight. It's weird. It really is weird. And the game mustn't be so easy to abuse. Because I've seen Helene play this game. When she plays The Sims, it's like she's got this plan laid out. Get this job, get a whole lot of money, and then only after that, go get the job that she enjoys doing. Or marry this rich person, drown them in the pool, take all their money, move out of their house, build your own house. There are all these little plans. I suppose that one is much more fun. That's a much more interesting plan than getting the easy to do job, but whatever. Sims is fun. Sims has always been fun. Whether you're male or female, no matter what your age, the game's cool. It really is. Then the next question is from the Madness Eye. With how many things you do during the day, Then in brackets, YouTube stuff, real life games, TV series, etc. Do you even have time for anything different? Like, for example, books or cycling? And the second question, I'll save that till I've answered the first one, and I think I'll just have a sip of my ginger tea because it's amazing and tasty and kind of hot. But you kind of already covered in the brackets there the different things that I do. Playing games, watching TV series, movies, stuff like that. Walking with Nero. But I suppose that's part of the real life stuff. I don't really have that much time for the different things. Books, cycling, I don't know. Nowadays, I've been trying to catch up on series more than reading books. I downloaded ebook versions of all the Warcraft novels. I wanted to check those out at some point, but on my nightstand, I've still got 2 books that I'm trying to get through, or 3 books even, that I'm trying to get through. Don't know when I'm going to get to that. Cycling, well, I'm not much of a cyclist. We walk a lot, and I enjoy it. I personally enjoy walking, and I love the fact that I get to do something that Nero really, 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 really likes. It's the highlight of his day. And if I can do it more than once in a day, well, his day is that much better because of it. But for other stuff, not that much time to do it, but I do appreciate each and every moment I spend doing things with Helene or Nero or other friends, family members, whatever. My free time recently has been taken or spent like going to the farm to visit my parents, going out for lunch with them when they come to our neck of the woods, stuff like that. And as I said, series, movies, other things like playing Hearthstone. I have been trying to practice as much Hearthstone as possible. You know, I don't have any tournaments like the BlizzCon Invitational to practice for or anything like that, but I still want to get better at the game so that you guys, those of you that appreciate good, solid play, can enjoy my videos more. And it's fun. It's just straight up fun. And heading into the later stages of the year, there are so many other things that are going to come up that I'm going to want to do. We also have GTA 5, which I've not spent enough time on. I wanted to buy myself Pokemon, but DS games are way expensive here. And Helene said, well, she made a deal with me. She said when I finish GTA 5, I can buy Pokemon. That's not going to be anytime soon. So she knew that she was going to deny me that for a whole long time. So I don't know. Not going to get to play Pokemon soon. We've got a 3DS, but we're not going to get X or Y just yet. Gonna hold back, enjoy GTA, and that's gonna be that. I hope I actually answered that question within my jumbled response. I think I might have. I really do. Then, the second question. Have you ever forgot about going to sleep like it happened with your lunch? So if you're wondering what he's asking about, in the previous video I said that I sometimes forget to eat lunch. And yes, of course, I forget to go to sleep all the time. All the time. Especially when I like start an arena run in Hearthstone, or I get a really good idea for a video, start working on it, and then just never stop. Suddenly it's 3 or 4 a.m. and I feel really bad because the next morning I'm going to wake up with not nearly enough sleep. And that kind of ruins the next day for me, but the fact that I got to stay up doing something that I wanted to do, that makes up for it. Really does. I've done the same with reading before, or watching series or stuff like that. I just lose track of time. I've been trying not to do it too much because nowadays I have without fail been waking up to have breakfast with Helene, my fiance, for those that don't know, pretty much every single morning. Pretty much. So we have breakfast together, it's really nice. Sometimes she makes breakfast before I even get out of bed, and that's amazing. Also, we get to go to the gym earlier, we get to walk Nero earlier, we get to just start our day earlier and move things along at a more rapid rate, which means I get back in front of my PC to do these YouTube things, like recording Hearthstone or news, all the other stuff that I do. Recently, a lot of time has been spent on beta key giveaways. I get to start on all of that sooner. and it's great. Next question. Wody304. A bit late after your walkthrough of Legend of Grimrock, but you didn't express your thoughts on it as much as you usually do. What do you think of the game, and do you think there'll be a second one? And if so, where would it be set? Well, I can tell you, and I'll start at the end of this first, that Legend of Grimrock 2 is a thing. They've been posting regular updates on legendofgrimrock.com. I don't know what their site is, I really don't know. But I can tell you that it's looking absolutely amazing, and we're going to get to explore the outside world. So the chances are it'll pick up exactly where Legend of Grimrock 1 left off. Now, if I'm not mistaken, they were planning a DLC for the game. Then they thought to themselves, well, this is much more than a DLC, and it's getting close to a good amount or enough content to be a proper second game, not an expansion. So they just decided to make Grimrock 2 instead of making this DLC, and that's amazing. So it's going to be set outside. They've got a whole bunch of UI improvements. There are a whole bunch of new classes, skills, weapons, you name it. The game also looks a whole lot better visually, and it's going to be weird playing a game like that in the outside world, in big open areas and stuff. Because it's still going to work in the same way where you walk on the grid. So you move one block at a time, you just turn one block at a time. It's going to be interesting to see how they pull it off. But I'm super keen. As for what I thought of Grimrock 1, it was really good. Really, really, really enjoyable for me. I like that style of game. It takes me back to the good old days of playing Ultima Underworld. And let me just tell you, not playing Ultima Underworld a whole lot because I was super scared of that game. Even that little room that you start in where you got to do battle with a rat or something, that was scary. Back when I was playing it, it really was. And that's one of the games that I want to revisit at some point with that venture-worthy. Ultima Underworld 1 and 2, both of them. Ultima 7, Savage Empire, some of the others like that. So good. But Legend of Grimrock, great game. If you haven't played it yet, it's super cheap on Steam or wherever else you can get it, and I would suggest you get it if you like those old school first person dungeon crawlers. I do. They're really good. I would also say that I'm strongly considering doing a playthrough of Grimrock 2 when it comes out, mainly because my Legend of Grimrock playthrough was super popular. Everyone seemed to enjoy it, and as I said, I like playing that kind of game. The commentary on it is really easy and fun to do, so why not? Next, Bloodgorm. Have you ever had real maple syrup? I can't even remember. I think at some point in my life I must have had real maple syrup, but I don't have it regularly. I don't go out and buy maple syrup. My parents have lots of beehives on the farm, so we get fresh honey every now and then. We've got fresh honey in the fridge right now. It's kind of nice, but it's not maple syrup. I wouldn't say it's on par with maple syrup in how nice it is, but I've definitely had it before, or I think I've had it before. What are some of your favorite fall flavors? Is there a kind of pastry you prefer, like scones or scones, muffins, cheesecake, cookies? I'm not sure what you mean by your favorite fall flavors. I'm not sure at all, but I can answer the second part of that. Pastry, I like pies a lot. I don't know, well, I can't say never. I don't eat pies that often. When I'm allowed to spoil myself, then I go and buy a pie at Woolworths. And by pie, I mean like pastry type pie. So it's like pastry wrapped around spinach and feta, or pepper steak, or like a sausage roll or whatever. I love those. So that's more like a savory type snack. I love scones. Muffins are great. Cheesecake is amazing. Cookies are my favorite. I like all of it. There isn't one specific one that I could point out and say, well, this one's my favorite. I like the lot of it. Really do. As for the fall flavors, I don't know. Fall is autumn, if I'm not mistaken. What are autumn flavors? colors, maybe? Oranges? Deep yellows and reds? I don't know. I don't know what that means. But if anyone else wants to answer that, go ahead. Go ahead. I'll highlight all the what are your fall flavors answers in the next Q&A if I can. I'll do it. Just so we can figure this one out together. Then, Asurai Valentine. What do you think of visual novels? Now, have you played any yourself? If you want any, I could give you some suggestions for some to check out. Some visual novels have amazing stories. Sadly, I don't think many would be good for adventure-worthies or full let's plays, however. Granted, I don't think some of us would mind hearing you voice act an entire game yourself, since most visual novels have no voiceovers at all. I personally would love to do voiceover work for something like that, but the problem is I am too much of a perfectionist to do that. I would be re-recording every single line, and because of how badly I read, that would have to happen, because I'd make mistakes on every single line. But visual novels, I like them, but I gotta say that I haven't played or read any time recently. I can't even remember what the previous or last one was that I made my way through. I'm trying to think. I had some on my phone a while ago, but no, I can't even think of it. And I wouldn't say that they would make good adventure-worthies or let's plays or anything like that, but they can be fun. I wouldn't spend that much time on them because, as I said earlier in this episode, I've got so much other stuff to get through that things like Attack on Titan end up being so much more appealing. Maybe the new season of Legend of Korra. That kind of thing I'd rather watch instead of spending time with visual novels. Not that I don't like them, but, you know, those other things are slightly more appealing. That's the right word. And they less effort. You know, I can just sit back and watch them and enjoy, because the chances are by the time the time comes for me to do something like that, I'm going to be so tired that that's going to be what I want to do. So there you go. As for voice acting, some of those, well, I'd love to. At some point, I would absolutely love to. Then, Psycho Chickens. I have a question in the new YouTuber line. Where and how would or should someone promote their channel? Especially without being spammy or begging. So, I am probably the worst person in the world to answer this. Mainly because I'm terrible at it myself. But I'd say just being active in a certain community for the game or games that you're covering is the best thing to do. So, say for instance, let's choose something that's fresh in everyone's mind. Hearthstone. So if you're in the Hearthstone beta, you're doing commentary for it, you got a smallish channel and you want to promote yourself, be active on the Hearthstone Reddit, the official Hearthstone forums. Tweet at the Hearthstone community managers. Tweet your stuff at them. Try and contact the people behind the game. In this case, it's Blizzard. So speak to their community team. Speak to their press guys. Do that kind of thing. And if you are focusing on one game or type of video above all others, it will be a whole lot easier. Then you can perhaps get in contact with other people doing that same game. Other people covering it. Don't do the desperate type of contact. Don't say, hey, would you mind checking out this video or anything like that. Rather just speak to them when they're speaking about things related. Do that. Why the heck not? Be a nice person in the way that you do it. I am giving you this advice and I'm saying it all without knowing if it would actually really work that well. It's the kind of thing I do. I like being involved in stuff like that. I like being involved as much as I can in community stuff like that. I try post on Reddit. I try post on the forums whenever I can without getting too enraged, because sometimes they get silly. Okay? They really do. There's some silly stuff posted on Reddit and on the forums. People can get a little bit whiny. They can get a bit agitated at things like the lack of beta keys And this is the kind of thing that'll happen with all games, but I would honestly say that it's good if you can just be active in certain communities that apply to the work you're doing, and through that activity, you'll get your name out there. As for, well, try not to be spammy or begging, maybe go for those, make videos or content that you can post on Reddit. Because, well, Reddit or something like that is a great way. I say something like that because there are other sites out there. But Reddit, for instance, is a great way to get your name out there. But you got to make stuff specifically for it, or stuff that you think other people would watch. So fun, interesting, informative. Those three things. Always, always, always good to keep in mind when you're setting up a video. So something that'll help someone out. Something that'll make them laugh. That's the kind of stuff. But again, I'm not the kind of person that would be good at answering something like this. I'm really not. Most people will tell you the key to YouTube success is collaboration. You got to work with other people. You got to do things with people bigger than yourself, and that'll get you recognized. That'll get you more subscribers, more viewers, stuff like that. And that's probably even more so true than anything I've said to this point. So there you go. You could just go with that as well. Do it. Next, Molda22. Dear Lumin, what are your suggestions or wishes for future Hearthstone cards or expansions? Seeing your Murloc deck in action, sadly can't try it myself, I don't have that many Murloc cards, excited me, and I hope Blizzard allows us to make similar things by adding more creatures from certain races, etc. There are so many things that I think they could potentially do. But I would just start off by saying that they need to take it slow. They need to just flesh the important parts of the game out first. The usability, the new player experiences, the features that people really need in the game, like spectating, different game modes, tournaments, stuff like that, that still need to be added. Achievements, I would love it if they added a full achievement system to the game, much like World of Warcraft or Diablo has. That would be great. There are a lot of things they need to get to before they do that, but when they do get to add in new card types, wow. I mean, the possibilities are endless. If you just look at World of Warcraft, for instance, then there are so many creature types, so many humanoid types out there that they could just add absolutely anything that tickles their fancy. Now they've already got things like Murlocs and Beasts. They've got dragons in there, which I would like to see them expand upon at some point. They've got pirates, also a lot of fun. But if you think about it, with humanoids, they could start adding factions and stuff like that. That could be a really nice setting for an expansion pack. Something to do with a couple of different factions that are warring with each other. Just imagine. Imagine they add something like the Scarlet Crusade, or just Scarlet something. I'm not sure what they're called nowadays in World of Warcraft, because there are a couple of cards in the game already that could be part of that, and then they could have them doing battle with someone else. I can't remember who historically did battle with the Scarlet guys, but there are all sorts of things like that that they could do. They could have, and a lot of people have already said this, added races if they wanted to, but I think that that would overcomplicate things. You can't add undead to the undead cards and not add Tauren, Blood Elf, Night Elf, whatever to the other cards, so rather not. But look, as far as I can tell, the first things that they're going to be adding will just be new heroes. So if I had to guess what their first expansion would be about, I'd say that they're going to release a Death Knight expansion. It just makes the most sense. So then they add the Death Knight hero to the game. They'll give you a special little tutorial type sequence that you'll have to play through to unlock it. Teach you about the class, stuff like that. It's going to be a lot of fun, I can tell you that already, because the tutorial of the game that I played through the first time I started playing Hearthstone was just so good. The voice acting was great, it was fun, it was engaging. I would play through it again without hesitation. So if they had something like that for the Death Knight class, that would be great. And a lot of people have already tried to guess what the Death Knight would be all about, but it doesn't really matter. Because with the Death Knight, they could just add, firstly, the hero itself with all its abilities and hero cards and stuff, but then they could add themed minions for that they could do that. They could add a couple of legendaries who are well known in the Death Knight lore. I can't give you examples of that. Maybe Baron Rivendare. Wasn't he a Death Knight or something like that? I don't know. Stuff like that. They could add minions and stuff that are undead-ish in nature. And they could be part of a special faction. Something like that. I don't know. Could be a lot of fun though. Then they might add a monk expansion after that. Or they could release them both in the same expansion. But I think that they gotta take it slow. And they have to... They really have to make sure that they add the things that the community wants. Because the community wants to make this game into an esport. Whether Blizzard likes it or not. So add in all those things like spectator mode, tournaments and stuff like that that are built into the game. That would be the best bet to start off with. Then, US Tazinga. Dear Lumin, about Hearthstone. I believe you mentioned challenging or being challenged by, as I believe you call us, Lumies. However, I do not remember how this was going to work. Would we just make a friend request to talesoflumin.com, talesoflumin@gmail.com, or should we send you, post on YouTube, or otherwise provide our own contact information, as in an email address or Battle.net username, or do you have a different plan entirely? Also, I wondered how you'd organize matches between Lumin fans. So, I have a lot of plans for this kind of stuff, but the problem is that as of right now, the social features in the game are lacking, and if you have too many friends, you kind of get spammed by them, regardless of whether they want to spam you or not. So when your friends complete an arena run, when they get a card, when they open a card pack, a proper card like an epic or legendary or whatever, it announces it in the game to all your friends, and if you add to that the fact that you can't set yourself to busy or do not disturb or anything like that, it would be a little bit difficult for me to add a bunch of people to my friends list to play against. And now what I can do, and I really can do this, is I can add people and then play, then remove them afterwards, just for safety's sake. And the reason I don't want that spam stuff there is because when I'm recording, it's both distracting or it could even ruin my recording because I can't censor stuff or anything like that. So you never know. Now that's the problem. If Blizzard work a little bit on the social features of the game, it'll be easy. I would easily be able to add a whole bunch of you guys and just play whenever I have the time. Maybe record the matches, whatever. See how your decks fare against mine, the ones that I've set up, because I've got a whole lot of them ready and waiting. But as of right now, I'd say that there's no set in stone concrete plan that I'm going to go with. But within the next couple of weeks, I want to start doing this, regardless of what Blizzard decide to do. I do, however, think that come BlizzCon, we're going to see a pretty major update to the game. So around the time of BlizzCon, or maybe just after it, we'll see a big update with a whole lot of new features and stuff. And I think that once that hits, it would probably be the best time to start with stuff like this. So until then, I'll be doing arena content. I'll be setting up a collection of decks. And I urge you all to do the same, that I can use when that time comes. But again, I will probably be adding you guys and then either removing you if they haven't improved the social features of the game yet, or just keeping you if they have. But it's going to be fun. It's going to be a whole lot of fun. And if they do add spectating options and things like channels that you can chat in, then it's going to be a whole lot easier to organize games between Lumies that I can then watch and shoutcast over, because that is one thing I'm super, super keen for. That's one thing that I really, really, really am passionate about, is shoutcasting other people's games, like making fun of their play, being a little bit snippy about it, criticizing their moves, whether I know what they're doing or not. It's going to be a lot of fun. I just hope that Blizzard implement a good spectator mode. And I think they can. I think they have the potential to do so. And I think they're going to surprise a lot of people when they do reveal or announce it. I'm also kind of sure that they're going to show off something like that, or at least hint at something like that at BlizzCon. So we'll wait and see. But I do have plans for it. I have not forgotten about it. I just need to figure out exactly how I'm going to do it. Then, on Rise. My birthday is 2 to 3 weeks from now. And I'm getting the Steelseries Sensei. What are your experiences with the mouse? Only positive things or bad things too? Is it a good mouse for photoshopping? Thanks for answering. On Rise, I will tell you right now that the Steelseries Sensei is amazing. I would say the only negative thing that I've seen or felt on this mouse is the scroll wheel. It's a little bit noisy at times, and I think that that is kind of a random thing. Some people have problems with it, some people don't, but that's it. It's like a little bit noisy, it squeaks a little bit every now and then, but that is pretty much the only thing that I can say that's bad about this mouse. I love the fact that you can program it, and then regardless of what your PC is doing, you can always have your preset saved on the mouse. You can change the color of the LED, which is kind of cool. I like that. And I would say it's really good for stuff like photoshopping because of the fact that it's got such a high DPI. Or I think they call it something else now. I'm not even sure. But it's not going to skip or anything like that, like the old school laser mice used to do. It's a good mouse. It's solid. It's a good weight. It's a nice shape. I know other people prefer other mice, but this is my weapon of choice. And I specifically saved up for this one and got it when it was time. Now I moved to this from the Xi, and before that I had the MX300 from Logitech, and I gotta say that this kind of shape has just been the best for me over the years. So yes, I gotta say if I had to do a review or something of it, it would be 100% positive, because something like a little scroll wheel making funny sounds doesn't bother me. Really doesn't. Then there are a couple of requests that I'm gonna throw up in here before we finish this off. First one from Jessica. Do you know Might and Magic Duel of Champions? If so, what do you think about the game? Warm sands from Jessica, and warm paws from my cat to Nero Puppy. I don't know if Nero would appreciate that because he's got a thing against most cats. Not all cats, but most cats. He likes chasing them. It's fun. It really is. He makes it look like fun. I personally wouldn't enjoy chasing a cat so much, but he does. He really does. He's right here on the couch, having a good nap, probably dreaming about chasing cats. As for Might and Magic Duel of Champions, is that the card game based on the Might and Magic universe? If so, I have only seen and heard a little bit about it. Tiny little bit. I really, really, really liked the art of the game, but for some reason everything in the Might and Magic universe has great art. All the games, all the stuff that they've done with it always just looks really good. But at the moment there are so many different card games out there, including things like Hearthstone and all the others that you guys have suggested I check out, that man, it's just impossible to try them all for myself for a long enough period of time to actually be able to form an opinion, because games like that you actually need to really get into to be able to tell if you're going to enjoy it in the long run or not. But I will definitely check it out at some point. And there's another card game coming up now that I'll talk about in just a moment. But next, Ropname. A quick question. I saw your whole Grimrock playthrough. It was really good, and I enjoyed it almost as much as you did. I was wondering if you knew of Might and Magic 10 Legacy. It's in Steam Early Access. Will you cover it? If yes, earlier or only after release? I see it's the same type of game as Legend of Grimrock, so you might enjoy it a bunch. I did see that, and I might have a look at it when it releases. I'm not going to buy it in Early Access now because it's the kind of thing that I'm either going to really enjoy and play all the way through, or I might just spend a little bit of time on it, do an adventure with you or something like that. But either way, I want it to be done. I want it to be a finished product, so I will only have a look at it when it's actually out. But it does look good. It does look like a lot of fun, and with Grimrock 2 coming out, I'm all the more keen. Last question. Hey Lumin, this is Providnik. I hope I said that right. I wanted to know if you'd taken a look at Hex TCG. It looks great. It's an MMO role-playing card game type thing. If you haven't, you should, as well as all my fellow Luminites. Well, there you go. There's a suggestion from Previdnik. I struggle so much with the names sometimes. There's a suggestion from him of a nice card game to check out. I've actually heard that this was really, really good from multiple people. Mostly people that didn't get into Hearthstone and were on the prowl for other card games. Then they inadvertently got hooked on this. But there are others. There's also Card Hunter, which I've heard good things about. So you've got a lot of options. You really do. Then not to mention the fact that there are also Magic the Gathering card games that you can play on your PC. A lot of fun to be had in those as well. But that is sadly going to be it for this Q&A. Now, as I mentioned, the next one is going to be kind of special. I mentioned that all the way at the start. So wait for that. It's also going to be kind of soon because we are going to the farm this coming weekend again. So I've got a lot of work to do, a lot of stuff to prepare before then. But I will record it over the weekend and it should be up shortly after that. It's going to be amazing. You guys are going to enjoy it. A whole lot. So leave those questions. Make them interesting. If that's at all possible. I'm kind of sure it is because, well, these ones this time around were super good. Really good. Whether it's about Hearthstone, life in general, other games, Helene, Nero, whatever. Doesn't matter what it's about, leave them and I'll get to them next time around. I'm going to have to keep it kind of short next time though, probably like a half an hour, just because of the fact that I'm going to use my handy cam to record it. And the thing only has limited battery and space. So we'll see. Check back here soon for that. Give this video a like and share it and do all that other good stuff. Most importantly though, happy leaving those questions. Happy that.